Hello ladies and gentlemen, Tevaron here and welcome back to some more Magic Arena gameplay. This week we're going to be taking a look at Bant Angels, a deck that I saw a real life friend of mine playing a few days ago, which looked quite fun and interesting, so I figured we'd just jump in and see how it runs. If you'd like to see his original stream of the deck, I'll put a link to the video in the description. His name is Searsist, and I highly recommend checking him out on both YouTube and Twitch if you're looking for more good Magic the Gathering content. We'll be going into this one mostly blind today since I'm having to record very far ahead. I haven't had time to actually practice with this deck at all, so we'll be learning together here. First, let's take a few minutes to familiarize ourselves with the deck list. We'll start with the suite of angels that give the deck its name: Shalai, Voice of Plenty, Lyra, Dawnbringer, and Angel of Sanctions. Shalai protects us and our other permanents from being targeted, even shutting down Settle the Wreckage, forcing the opponent to deal with her before they can address other issues. And if we have 6 mana available, she allows us to also grow our team turn after turn. Lyra synergizes with our other angels, giving them lifelink and beefing them up, while being a devastating threat all on her own, especially versus red decks. And Angel of Sanctions gives us removal utility, while still being a decent evasive body, with a bit of card advantage built in since we can embalm her from the graveyard. The angels are fairly high casting costs, so we have some early mana acceleration in the deck to help power them out as quickly as possible. Llanowar Elves, Rishkar Pima Renegade, and Spring to Mind, with Rishkar pumping our squad in the process and Spring to Mind eventually giving us some extra card draw down the road. Jade Light Ranger helps us filter our upcoming draws and aids us in making our land drops. Walking Ballista and Thrashing Brontodon give us some versatility, being threats that can double as removal. And the last of our creatures is Wrath Capuchin Ship's Mage, allowing us to play a bit of a flash-style game at times. There's nothing quite like ambushing attackers with huge angels. Ajani Unyielding gives us staying power in the late game, keeping the threats coming or removing a problematic creature from the opponent's board. Then we have our disruptive cards, Spell Pierce and Blossoming Defense, helping us to stop opposing shenanigans. This is the sort of deck that Spell Pierce tends to shine in. We're able to put pressure on the opponent while preventing them from stemming the tide, so let's hope it shakes out that way today. A pair of castouts give us a bit of versatility in our removal suite, and finally a single Settle the Wreckage to help us against aggro or mid-range opponents. Our mana base, of course, starts with Cycling Duels, which enable our check/buddy duels to interplay untapped, and we round everything out with our suite of basics. Moving on to the sideboard, we have Authority of the Consuls, which should generally only come in versus red aggressive decks, though might be worth siding in if we face some very go-wide token type strategies. For aggro or mid-range in general, we have Seal Away, Thopter Arrest, and some extra copies of Settle the Wreckage. Thopter Arrest is also a good card to bring in versus any deck running the Scarab God. Then for control, we have access to Jace's Defeat, Lifecrafter's Bestiary, and Prowling Serpapard. That, my friends, is the deck list, so without further ado, let's kick the tires and see how she runs. Alright, so even though that the competitive constructed's still up, I think we're just going to do ladder today. I don't know how much time I'm going to have to get games in. I know I've said this in the past, but I am trying to get a backlog ahead because I'm going to be out of town for a week. I'm recording this 2 weeks ahead of time. Also, I've been practicing a bit on the ladder, and the decks seem to be more diverse there, so maybe that will give us a bit more variety. Let's jump in and play, shall we? Alrighty, this is a little bit slow, but I think we'll try it. We can at least go Ballista turn 2, and if we draw land, Rishkar turn 3, so let's keep it. Right, the opponent leads off with an Ether Hub, really doesn't tell us a ton about what they're playing, so we'll go farmland and pass. Alright, looks like probably black-red aggro. So let's play our Ballista out here on 1. Hopefully we don't have a Chain Whirler hitting the board next turn. Unfortunately, our third land comes into play tapped, so unless we draw an untapped source, Rishkar is not going to come down. Scrap Heap Scrounger is problematic. It crews Heart of Kirin, but at least it doesn't kill our Ballista like a Chain Whirler would have. We need to survive to get our Angels going, especially Lyra with her life gain. Alright, we did not draw the land that we needed, unfortunately. So we're going to be attacking here. We may be needing to cycle this cast out. We'll see what happens here. Would love it if they'd try for a Chandra. That's not what that is. Alrighty. Shoot you in the face, I suppose. So we're going to take 7. Yeah, I think we've been too slow this game. Though there still is the chance that we could stabilize. Yeah, let's cycle this. Second Rishkar is not what we're after. So they don't quite have lethal on board. That doesn't mean they don't have it in hand, though. So let's go with Shalai. Unlicensed Disintegration here would kill us. So would Glorybringer. Or removal plus any haste threat. There's about 10 million ways we could die here is what I'm trying to get at. Okay, that is not one on its own. Alright, everything coming in. I don't want my Shalai to just die to first strike if they've got a burn spell, so let's block the Scrounger here. Down to 1. And that's the game. Good game, opponent. Alright, so we've got a ton of sideboard for this matchup. We bring in our Authorities, our Silaways, our Thopter Arrests, and our Settled Wreckages. We want to take out a Johnny. Unfortunately, he's just a bit too slow. We want to take out Rishkar and Jade Light Ranger for pretty much the same reasons, and all of the Spell Pierces because they're not great in this matchup. And submit. Alright, this is perfectly acceptable. We'll keep it. Authority of the Consuls in the opening hand is a big help for us. Prevents a lot of hasty damage while gaining us a bit of life too. Play out our Scattered Groves and pass. Alright, Shalai is fine. We need another green to be able to play Brontodon next turn. But for now, we'll play out our Authority. Hopefully, will give us enough of a life buffer here to get our late game plan online, which is what we need to do to win versus these aggressive red decks. Alright, Bomat Courier coming into play tapped. Very nice. Let's go with Llanowar Elf. Unfortunately, no second green to protect it from a Chain Whirler or other removal here. If it survives, we can go either Shalai or Brontodon next turn. Duress. Alrighty. You want the Settle or the Blossoming Defense? I'm guessing you want the Settle. Alright, Heart of Kirin. And chooses not to swing with the Courier. I guess they suspect we would be willing to block even though they knew our hand. So I think we want to get Shalai out. One more land would be awesome here. Still, if our elf lives, we've got Cast Out available. Alright, elf is not living, unfortunately. But they're not able to crew Heart of Kirin this turn either. I think we need to cycle this. Spring. Wish I had drawn you instead of the elf, Spring. We are going to start attacking here. We are in desperate need of actual lands. Our authority has done a good job of keeping us alive here, though. But everything depends on whether we're actually able to survive long enough to take over the game. Alright, looks like they're crewing their heart. Going to swing with the courier. I am going to block the courier as much as I've talked about needing lands, because we're going to cast Spring next turn. And I would prefer them not to refill their hand with that Bomat courier later. Scrounger, sure. Buffer our life total again. Lyra's a great draw. See, we need a second green, so let's go get that. We need a 5th mana source for Lyra. I think we're just going to keep attacking here. We've got Brontodon available next turn. If we draw an untapped land, we can play Lyra. If we don't, the Brontodon can also sack to kill this Heart of Kirin. Well, there's a Karn.
I battle for the forces of good.
Karn is ticking up. You can have another land, I suppose. Hopefully that doesn't enable you to cast Glorybringers. But I would rather you not have another Scrap Heap Scrounger. Right, getting swung at for a ton here. Was not counting on Karn being able to crew the Heart of Kirin. I mean, we didn't know they had it. Maybe we just hold up, settle the wreckage here? No, I think we're going to play our Brontodon. The question is, do we swing at Karn? And I don't think we do. Come on now. Get over there, shall I? Crew it? Sure. We'll kill it. So, we could just die here. They only need 2 more damage to kill us, which they shouldn't have too much of a problem getting to.
Good choice.
Sure. We'll give you the single-colored land, I suppose. And that, my friends, is the game. Well, we've got lands this time, but still not a second green for the Brontodon. Don't know what we're up against. This just seems a little slow to me. Let's mulligan it. That's a bit better if we can draw a land. Rishkar. Yeah. We'll keep the Rishkar. If our stuff, and our stuff being Llanowar Elves, survives, Rishkar will help us with our mana issues. Black here. We may be having our elf die. Hopefully not. Well, it's not getting pushed yet, at any rate. Blue-black. Alright, looks like mid-range or control with the Bloodfast there. So, Rishkar versus Spring. Let's go with Rishkar. Yeah, beef everyone up. Now we've got more mana. Maybe our opponent will be so kind as to tap low so that we can resolve Shalai. Okay. I will accept that. So let's get Shalai out there. They have to deal with her before they can deal with any of our other stuff. There is a Champion of Wits. Spell Pierce should be good in this matchup. See what opponent is discarding here. They unfortunately do know about it, but that may make them play slower too, which is to our benefit. Discarded an island and a swamp. Still make their land drop there. Okay, so we could go Spring, we could go Ballista, and kill this champion. I think we want to go Spring. And since we're not wanting to attack with our elf, we'll use it for mana. Well, let's leave up blue, please, for our Spell Pierce. And I think we need a second green more than we need a second blue. We'll go to combat and attack. Alright, chumping with their champion there. Or, I guess they chose not to in the end. Didn't see them choose not to block there, but they obviously didn't. Another Champion of Wits, sure. Walking Ballista seems like the play for next turn then. We can just mow these things down and get in there. Alright, we'll take the 2. That means we can kill this and leave our Ballista alive. So, again, we want to leave blue mana up for our Spell Pierce. Play a 2-point Ballista. Go ahead and shoot that Champion of Wits so that we can get him for 6. And go attacking. Alright, opponent, your go. Don't think Bloodfast is doing them a ton of good this game. They'll probably be siding that out. They do have the opportunity to gain a bit of life. They can block with a creature and then sack it for, well, in this case, 1 life gain. They do have access to Gear Hulk mana now. Which Glimmer is about the only thing they can do with the Gear Hulk as far as instants. We're getting attacked. Sure, I'll take that. They could eternalize their Champion of Wits here. Don't think that's going to do it for them, though. Fatal Push our Shalai. Have you had something die this turn? I didn't think you had. Yeah, you could have sacked it and killed that. One thing important to remember, Fatal Push can target anything. So just because it's lighting up in your hand doesn't mean it has a target it can kill. So, against this mid-rangey blue-black deck, I think we want Jace's Defeat. Not certain if they're running Essence Scatters or not. We could bring in Serpapard. We probably want Thopter Arrest to help us deal with Scarab Gods. Let's see what we want to take out for sure. Spell Pierce does seem good against this deck. Thrashing Brontodon doesn't seem great. Everything else seems reasonable, so I guess we're not going to bring in the Serpapard unless we see counter spells this game. Singleton Settle the Wreckage seems fine. let's go ahead and cut one each of Jadelight Ranger and Rishkar and submit. Alright, this is another awkwardish hand. I don't think we can afford to keep this versus what we're playing against. Go away. This is even more awkward. If we top deck a green source, it's fine, but we can't depend on that. We're on the draw, we'll try it. Going to 5 seems really bad. Go to the bottom, Jace's defeat. Leading off with a swamp. There's our green mana. Thank you, deck, for being cooperative. A forest off the top would be awesome. Then we could double elf. There's a siphoner. That's not a forest. Well, we get to play an elf, so that's fine. Hopefully elf will live, and then we can cast spring next turn. Yep, taken 2. Opponent's going to be able to draw a card. If we draw a land, we may just Thopter Arrest that. We did draw a land. I do not want them to draw extra cards, especially since they missed a land drop. So let's try for Thopter Arrest. There we go. They've got Champion of Wits mana now. Nope, another Glint Sleeve Siphoner. Well, we tried. Shall I? We could spring and hold up Spell Pierce. Or we could spring plus elf. I think I'm going to spring plus elf. The next turn we can cast Shall I and hold up Spell Pierce. So we've got 2 blue, we've got 2 green, 2 white. I guess we'll get another green. Play out our other elf. And they get to draw their card, and we'll have enough energy to draw another card the next turn if they choose to attack here. Here it comes. We are down to 16. We could also resolve a Johnny here. I would like to have, again, 1 more mana to hold up Spell Pierce in case of a counter of some sort. Which, if it's a negate, Spell Pierce is not going to stop it. But let's go ahead and try for Shall I. Essence Scatter, yeah, we can't stop that with a Spell Pierce. Was hoping for a Supreme Will or a Syncopate, something along those lines. We'll go attacking. Maybe they'll try for a big non-creature spell here. And we'll get to pierce it. Hopefully the pierce doesn't just sit in our hand the whole game and be useless. Right, tapped land for the turn. And Siphoner continues to pound away. Alright, that's what we wanted to see here. We can jam a Johnny, we can attack, counterspell. We can't do anything, but we'll have Spell Pierce back up next turn. Yeah, let's try for a Johnny. They have a Censor.
Only strengthens my resolve.
Are they mid-range or not? I have not seen the Censors played in mid-range decks, but maybe that's something that's going on now? Right, they got a lot of land. Didn't get to draw a card from the Siphoner this turn, but they can do that next turn. And they're at enough mana that we can't prevent their Vraska's Contempt on a Johnny if they have it. Let's see. Let's tap an elf. At least hold Spell Pierce up in case. Try for a Johnny again. Commit. Yep. So Spell Pierce has not been as useful as I predicted it would be. Just kind of sat in our hand and done nothing. Maybe they'll try to play a Liliana next turn without a land drop and we'll get to get it. They have not seen our hand this game, so they don't know we have the Spell Pierce. That Siphoner's just kind of eating us alive. Angel of Sanctions, eh? Let's try for that pre-combat. Just in case of a Supreme Will. That way we have enough mana to pay for it. Right, yeah, we'll take that Siphoner. Go to attacks. Looks like Angel's gonna die. Yep. With utmost contempt. I think we're going to lose this one. Opponent has drawn so many cards off this Siphoner. There's a Champion of Wits. I'm wondering if they're not black-blue control, but with Siphoner and Champion of Wits main. See, discarded Swamps. There's an Ether Hub. Yep. Keep it coming, Siphoner. You're doing a great job for our opponent there. Scarab God. Well, another Johnny is kind of right on time. At least to deal with Scarab God.
A heart at peace.
And we have to do that.
Do you see the benefits of peace?
Unfortunately, a Johnny's going to die on the backswing. Alright, both are going at a Johnny. Unfortunately, we can't stop a Johnny from dying, but we can try to get this Glint Sleeve Siphoner off of the board. And it's Menace, if you were unaware. That's why we have to block it with both elves.
Another memory. It is not too late to change your mind.
Bloodfast, so they did leave Bloodfast in. Guess we weren't fast enough for them to want to take that out last game. There's Wrath. It's potentially useful. I think we're going to pass the turn here. Right, here comes Champion of Wits. The question is, do we flash in Wrath to try to block, or do we attempt to cast Mind? I think I'm going to cast Mind. Another champion, sure. Would love to know if you have Gear Hulks. I don't think we saw one last game. We haven't discarded any. Another Censor. So they have more than one. Sure. Just trying to see as much of the opponent's deck as we can at this point. They have Lethal on board. Right, drawing with Bloodfast. Lyra seems okay. Not that it's very likely that opponent does not have a way to deal with her. Still, I think it's our best bet, so let's play her out. Yep, drawing some more. Just getting buried in card advantage this game. If they get removal, then we're dead. Yeah, that will do. So, Spell Pierce wasn't great that game. I still think it's okay in the matchup in general. Maybe not. But knowing that they're a bit more controlling than we thought they were, I do think we want Bestiary and Serpapard. So, I think we're going to take out our remaining Jade Light Ranger and Rishkar. Maybe we just don't want a Settle the Wreckage. I think we will also cut a single Wrath. Yeah. That seems okay. Let's do it. Keep it. So we're probably going to lead off on the Elf, hoping to draw another green source so that we can Serpapard on turn 2. If we don't, we'll play the farmland and attack with the Elf, I suppose. We have not seen Fatal Push from the opponent at all so far. I don't think, anyway. Recorded so much here lately that everything kind of runs together. Okay, there's a Siphoner. Well, that's pretty much the best thing they could have at that point. So, at this point, let's go with Farmland into Serpapard, so that we can actually resolve other creatures if we can draw any. We have none in our hand at the present. Yep, getting in there. Would like to get some use out of a Spell Pierce this game, please. Champion of Wits, okay. Discarded lands. So we could spring, we could cast out this Siphoner. I think we're going to cast out the Siphoner. Holding up blue for Spell Pierce. Then go attack him with our Cat Snake. Alright, so we're winning this race, at least so far. Well, they had a backup Siphoner. At least they didn't get to draw a card this turn, I guess. Alright, we could go for a Johnny. I think we're better off casting Spring. Let's go ahead and get another green, I suppose. And we're going to attack with both of these. I doubt they'll want to block with their Siphoner. And we need to keep the pressure up. Yep, choosing to draw with Siphoner, as they should. Have a lot more cards in hand than we do. Cast something we can Spell Pierce, opponent, please. I mean, we were pretty obvious we were leaving Spell Pierce up, I guess, the way that we tapped to cast out. Doomfall. We'll Spell Pierce that. Now we can resolve a Johnny. And they're leaving the champion back to block, eh? Alright. Well, let's cast a Johnny. We will tick up.
Honor, come. We will seek accord together.
That's a lot of stuff. Cast our elf. Go attacking. So now even if they deal with a Johnny, we've got backup a Johnny. And I feel like we're in good shape, especially with them at 4 life here. Though, as I said, they have a ton of cards in hand. There's Gear Hulk mana. Which, not sure they've got anything a Gear Hulk could flash back. Not really. Doomfall doesn't work. Vraska's Contempt. On the Serpapard. Interesting. Swinging with Siphoner. Makes me think they've got an essence scatter. So maybe we should tick a Johnny down on the siphoner? Yeah, let's do that.
Now do you see the benefits of peace?
Let's cast Mind. That's a lot of lands. We'll go attacking. So now they have mana to eternalize their Champion of Wits. Looks like that's exactly what they're doing. Right, they do have Fatal Push. We just saw one get discarded. So many cards in hand. If we tick down on this, they'll gain 4 life. Let's tick up.
Come.
We've got a lot of mana this turn.
Accord together.
And we get nothing. At least that stuff gets put on the bottom, I suppose. We'll go for Shalai. We actually have enough to activate for the pump, so let's pass. Right, attacking there. Let's block. Pump everything. If you have removal, you could have killed Shalai anyway, so might as well block. I mean, that's pseudo removal, I suppose. We'll get her right back thanks to a Johnny. Doomfall. Well, there goes our backup of Johnny, so glad we protected the one on the board. Let's keep on ticking up.
Come, we will seek accord together.
Alright, that's a few more Shalais than I was hoping for, but we shall make use of them. And I think I may have played the wrong one. This may have been the one they didn't know about. Either way, though, we'll attack. And we got 2 beefy angels they need to deal with. Also can't contempt a Johnny with Shalai out. Well, they do have Gear Hulks. We now know. Yep, contempt on Shalai. Takes you to 7. So we're 1 off of ultimating a Johnny, unfortunately. Or we could win here. Ballista will do it too. Let's tick up.
Come, we will seek accord together.
Thopter Arrest. That's fine. See, if we cast Shalai, we should have enough to cast Ballista. Alright, they got the scatter. This taps them down, so they are dead. Let's go attacking. Cycle the sensor, sure. Swing with Lyra. Put you to 2. We'll cast a a Ballista for 3. And that's the game. Okay, this seems fine. We'll keep it. Get to have a turn 3 Shalai. Potentially. Opponent has mulligan to 6. Looks like they keep the card on top. So green from them as well. Third elf is not quite what we're looking for here. Deck. Merfolk Branchwalker, sure. Rampager. Right, so big Branchwalker. Looks like this may be a version of Stompy. They milled the Rampager. So we could spring or we could double elf. I think we want to double elf. Let's get our farmland out there. Do that. And we'll have online to have Shalai start pumping everything very shortly if everything lives. No, we are not going to block that Branch Walker. For now, it looks like opponent is mono green. They're going to get a Rampager into play this turn. Yep. Lyra's real good. Maybe we want to go with Lyra this turn and Shalai next turn. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. No attacks. So we can pretty much safely block Branch Walker with Lyra, even if they have a Blossoming Defense. She will kill it if they have two. That's not the case. There's a Thorn Lieutenant. So next turn we can Shalai plus Spring. I'm not going to block. I don't want to take the chance of them having two defenses and losing Lyra. I think once we get Shalai out, we've pretty much got the game in the bag. Another Spring, that's fine. Let's cast Shalai. Protect our other things. Also, she gets big and lifelink. We'll cast Spring. Going to grab a Forest. And we'll attack with our Lyra. Next turn, we get to start activating Shalai, making all of our stuff very large. See, they're short on pumping Thorn Lieutenant. They're still representing that they have two Blossoming Defenses, so we are not going to block. I think our life gain greatly outraces what they've got going on. We've got a Blossoming Defense of our own here. So 9, we can swing for 11. That will put us at 21. Have two elves up. Could actually do 13. See. Do that. If we absolutely need to block, we can still block. We're just going to swing with our angels here. Leave the elves back. Also, that lets us leave up Blossoming Defense to protect our Shalai, should they actually be running another color that could kill her. And I think we've got this game. They've got 13 on board if we didn't block. I'm going to block one thing, just as a hedge. I don't actually think we need to. Yep, there's one Blossoming Defense. Is that all you had? You were bluffing the second? Yep. We'll just go to combat. Alright, against a mono greenish deck, we want our removal suite. So let's bring in, actually not Authority, they don't have any hasty creatures, so we don't want that. We want Sillaways, Thopter Arrests, and our extra Settle the Wreckages. We'll take out our Spell Pierces, they're not very good. Wrath actually seems not very good either, let's cut him. A Johnny seems okay, even in just the removal capacity, so we'll leave a Johnny in. And I'm not sure they have anything that targets our stuff at all, so we're going to cut this Blossoming Defense. If it turns out they're running blue or black splash, then we may bring it back in if we lose this game. This is too slow. Though maybe we could get them with a Settle the Wreckage? Just may not be fast enough to get to it. I tell you what, let's do this for science. We'll keep it. We'll see if they can kill us before we can get to settle the wreckage. Well, Rampager, I guess, helps. It doesn't get to stick this turn, but they can get it into play next turn. Elf is good for us, except we can't actually cast it this turn. So if our elf lives, we can actually do turn 3 settle the wreckage. So I guess, yes, we can get to settle the wreckage before they can kill us. There's a spring. Seems pretty good. We'll go with Grove into Elves. We'll probably spring next turn because I would like to cast Lyra the turn after. Ronus. Okay, Ronus can potentially attack next turn. So if they pump here and attack, they can hit us for 10, taking us to 7. We're going to have mana for Lyra next turn, even if we don't spring, so maybe we just hold up Settle the Wreckage this turn. Yeah, we're going to hold up Settle the Wreckage. If we can get Ronus plus Greenbelt Rampager and make them waste their whole turn, that will be great. Steel Leaf Champion, so they don't have to pump. Let's get settled. So they got a lot of mana now, so they should be able to dump a lot of their hand next turn. But we've got Lyra on our side. Not that we'll actually be blocking. We don't want her to die. We just want her to hit them in the face every turn and buffer our life total. If we could draw an untapped land naturally and not have to spring, that would be awesome. We could go ahead and a Johnny. Oh, they have a fight card. Or a Nature's Way, not actually fight. So maybe we should have left the Blossoming Defense in. Branch Walker, okay. Elf. Bye-bye to Elf. Well, there is a Rishkar. So we could spring, we could Rishkar. I think we just cast our Lyra again. Hopefully they don't have another Nature's Way. Alright, Haship Oasis on the champion. Well, we're not going to be blocking it anyway. Galta is a bit of a problem. Untapped land, please. We really need you, Johnny. Well, that's not what that is. So can we live? 12, we can gain 6 with Rishkar's help. We cannot. Good game. Alrighty, so they do have stuff to kill our stuff, so that makes me want our Blossoming Defense back in. The question is, what do we cut? I guess we'll cut a Rishkar. This hand's not great. Let's ship it back. This is a bit better, I suppose. Jade Light Ranger, we don't have a second green for that yet, so go to the bottom. We'll lead off with our planes so that our duels come into play untapped. Not certain if we want to cycle this cast out or not. Looks like no first turn elf, which is good for us. There's a Dawnbringer. So maybe we just want to cycle this cast out. Branch Walker, sure. Let's go ahead and cycle so that we don't have to keep answering the prompt. Nope, got our other cast out, so that's fine. Heart of Kirin on top, so I guess... yeah, I guess we'll cycle this one too. We've got Thopter Arrest that can answer that. There's a land, that's what we wanted. Scattered Groves too. Let's play the Groves, since it comes into play tapped. Still Leaf Champion. Right, we know about the heart in their hand. So we could Thopter Arrest, we could settle the wreckage. We're just going to pass here. We may take another 8. Though settling into Lyra, as long as they don't kill Lyra, seems okay. If they just come with Branchwalker, we'll take it. Nope, they're coming with both, it looks like. So that we will settle. There's the Heart of Kirin we knew about, plus a Branchwalker. Maybe it'll miss and not be able to crew the heart. It did. Awesome. Blossoming Defense. Do we hold off a turn on Lyra for the Blossoming Defense? I think we do. I think what we're going to do here is go ahead and arrest this Heart of Kirin. Then we can play Lyra and have protection up next turn. Okay, Vivian, so looks like they're planning on destroying our arrest so they can get their Heart of Kirin back.
This place apart.
So I'm glad we waited on the Blossoming Defense, because she can also kill flyers. We'll have Blossoming Defense to protect Lyra from that. Let's make sure we're leaving up a green. We are. And we will pass the turn back on over. Right, ticking up
Balance
on Vivian.
Comes.
Looks like they missed. Ronus, sure. No. Yep, very, very glad we held on to that Blossoming Defense. I still think we're in a very bad situation, because they can crew this heart and protect Vivian with Vivian, or just crew it with Ronus. Johnny's pretty good, though. Let's try to attack Vivian and see what exactly happens here. Alright, crewing with Ronus. Hopefully they don't have a Blossoming Defense. Alright, they don't, so Heart of Kirin's down. So, even though it's going to mean Johnny's going to die, I think we play it and exile Ronus. Or maybe not. Maybe we play it and tick up and make them attack him to dead with both of those. Just depends on what the top 3 cards of our library are, really, doesn't it?
I will teach you humility, if I must.
Yeah, let's tick up. We
Come,
may regret this if
we
there's
will
nothing
seek
good
a
on top of the
chord
library.
together.
And there kind of wasn't. I mean, we did get 2 creatures, so maybe we would have been better off just exiling Ronus there. So they can sacrifice Vivian to destroy Lyra. Looks like that's what they're going to do. That's probably very
Draw
smart.
and fire.
Now they can kill Johnny. Actually have enough lands to pump this enough for it to kill Johnny on its own and hit us in the face with Ronus. So yeah, seeing as how it was elves on top, maybe we should have just exiled Ronus. Was hoping for some more angels. Yep, that's lethal for a Johnny. Alright, bye a Johnny, 5 to our face.
Nothing but a flesh wound. The pain only strengthens my resolve.
Nothing else. Farmland is not super exciting. So I think what we're going to do is play Elves and Spring to get Mind available for us to cast from the graveyard next turn. We'll grab a Forest and pass the turn. We are planning on cycling this farmland. Elf of their own will be blocking Ronus, since it cannot give itself trample. We'll also block the Branch Walker just to get it off the board. If it comes, it is. Right, yeah. We'll chump and trade. Yep. Going to trample over for 8. That's a lot of damages. We're down to 8. Rishkar's not exactly what we're looking for. Only got 7 mana. They've got enough to just kill us with the elf. I think we're dead. Yep, we are very, very dead. Good game, opponent. Alrighty, I think we're going to call it there. Again, I apologize for the shorter than usual videos last week and this week. We'll try to get back to our normal length and a lot more testing on the decks before we play them next time. But I do hope you've enjoyed this. Let's go ahead and open the packs that we earned playing there, or the pack that we earned. Sure, that's some good stuff. Anyway, here again is the deck list. It's not exactly what I call a tier 1 deck. Again, what we played last week wasn't either, but they're fun. And that's what matters, right? Again, as always, there will be a link to the deck list in the description if you'd like to check it out for yourself. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, let me know in the comments and by leaving a like below. It really does help tremendously. And of course, subscribe if you'd like to see more in the future. I have been Tevaron, and until next time, friends, be excellent to each other.